This is the second program. I copied it and pasted it here. For this program, we are looking at multiplication. For multiplication in the lecture notes, you read that, right? The multiplicand must be in AL or AX, depending on what size it is. And then you multiply it by another variable or register. So let's assemble this. Now first, let's look at this, right? We move num to AL because the multiplicand must be in AL. So, and then we multiply it by BL, which is num2. Okay, this is good. So we run. And let's reload and look at it. Okay. So we load num, which is 111, into AL. That is the decimal number. And we load num2 into BL, which is 17, that's the hex number. And then we multiply BL, we multiply AL by BL, the result will be in AL. And notice the result is here. But when we multiply 111 by 23, the size, the value exceeds the storage of 1 byte. So it extends to AH, as you can see, it's here, right? So that's what I meant in the lecture notes. When the result is too big to be stored in AL, it will extend to AH. Now it's 2 bytes. So, and the next instruction is to move AL, which is, we are saying AL, right, into product. And this is the address of product. So we do that. And we are done. Let's look at variables. So we have, oops. Okay. So we have num and num2, and the product is 0F9H, which is F9H. This 09, this byte is completely ignored. Why? Because we said move AL to product. We didn't mention AH at all. So this won't work, but that's not the correct result when you do the multiplication. So what do? We need to move the whole register AX into product, right? So let's try that. And let's assemble. And you will see it says there are errors. Wrong parameters, move product to AX. What does that mean? Wrong parameters. AX is 2 bytes, which is a DW size. Product is a DB. So how about we change this into DW? That means when you move them, the type must match. Not the type, but the size must match. So now we change the product into DW, and it should assemble. Just to show you, if you simply do this, AL, we are moving an 8-byte into, we are moving 8 bits into 16 bits. That still will not assemble. The parameters must be the same size. That's very important. So this is DB, this is DW, it won't work. Okay. When you have errors, make sure you look into that. Okay, now let's assemble. Now it's correct, right? Okay, run. Okay. And if you look at this, now we have the correct product. Okay. So let's make another change. I want to make another change. I mentioned in the lecture notes that you actually do not have to do this statement. because we can do what? We can do memory to register, register to memory. So we can actually do this directly. Okay, so let's do this and see. Now this is multiply num2 to AL, right? That should work. Let's see what happens. And it works. It says assembled correctly. Okay, let's look at the variable. And it's still correct. So that's something you need to remember. You don't always have to move it to a register, because in this assembly language, in this architecture, memory to register, register to memory, both work. Okay, now how about this? If we want to simply move a num into AX, will that work? And you already know that this will not work. Why? Because num is declared as dB, while AX is dW. So this will not work. Okay, let's see. It says wrong parameters again. So you need to change this to dW. And now let's see what happens. Okay, so now it works, right? Okay, just so that you know, this is mainly to illustrate that you need to remember to do the correct type. Another thing I also want to mention, I forgot to mention at the beginning. Okay, let's do this, AL. We move num to AL and we multiply num2. And because the numbers 111 times 23 exceeds the size of 1 byte, so it will extend to AH. Okay, and you already saw that. Oh, there are errors. Okay, because this I change it to DW. Let's make it back to DB. Okay, so after you run, notice that the product goes to AH, right? The higher bytes goes to higher byte goes to AH, which means the product, the result cannot be held in AL only, because AL is 1 byte and the result is 2 bytes. So it extended to AH. While if you simply make it into a 12, let's see. And it's still extended to AX, right? To AH. Okay, that's still too big, 12 times 23. Let's do a 12 times, let's do a 2 times 23. This time you will see the result is located in AL only. Okay, so that's what I meant in the lecture notes. When the result is too big, it extends to AH. And so when you do your multiplication, make sure you have the sizes match. The variables and the registers must match.